How's it going, guys? This is Brad with Best Price Nutrition. You can check out our website, BestPriceNutrition.com. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the social media stuff, you guys know. And also be sure to sign up for our email newsletter. That's when you can see all of our deals, all the new products, blog posts, all that stuff, everything that's going on. Today, I wanted to do kind of a top 3 list of 3, especially right now, because everyone wants to lose weight because it's summer. You don't want to look like a fat pile of shit. You know, when you go to the beach and you're trying to talk to a girl, she's super hot, and you're just standing there and like your gut's sticking out past your man boobs, and you're like, what am I going to do? Am I going to be stuck hitting on this mother of 4 who's sipping Slurpees out of a Mountain Dew cooler? That's not great. That's not what you want. Anyway, I'm going to go over a few of the fat-burning ingredients that I think actually work. There's good science behind it. Nothing is fully proven in what I'm going to say. So, and also with all of the fat-burning ingredients, you have to keep in mind that you have to do 80% of the work. You got to do 90% of the work. You got to eat right. You have to eat in a caloric deficit. You have to exercise. You have to not be sedentary. You have to actually do the work. If you don't do the work, nothing's going to happen. What I see a lot of times is fairly overweight people come into the store, because we have a brick and mortar store, so I talk to a lot of customers who just want a pill to do the work for them. Right? That's just kind of the culture we live in. You just want to take a pill. You want to buy something. You'll spend $200 on a pill if you think it's going to do the work for you. That's not the case. That's never been the case. If it were the case, you would know about it. If there were a pill that you could take that you would drop 10 pounds instantly, you would know about it. It wouldn't be something you have to go in and ask about. All that being said, the ingredients that I'm going to list, I'm going to give you some products that have a lot of this stuff in there. They are going to give you an edge. And the whole point to this is that when you're in a caloric deficit, this stuff's going to help aid the fat loss, make it a little bit quicker, maybe burn more fat than carbs, whatever the case may be, it's going to aid it a little bit. And sometimes that little bit of extra help, that little bit more momentum you get, the extra pound or 2 per month goes a long way, because, it's all about motivation and momentum. So if you're motivated to start and you start seeing progress, and you get momentum, and then those things just compound, and then you'll just make really good progress. So you want to get as much of an edge as you can. So I'm going to go over 3 ingredients I think are really important, and then a 4th one that's in a lot of stuff that's good, but some people don't like. So just right off the bat, I'm going to say what they all are. So if you don't want to watch this, go for it. L-Carnitine, grains of paradise / paradoxin, and then GBB. So these things are in a ton of fat-burning products. I'm going to kind of go over each one of them. I wrote some stuff down. Okay, so carnitine. What is it? So it's an amino acid that will basically attach to or sit on your mitochondria. And it's going to help chop up long-chain fatty acids to be able to be put through your mitochondria to create ATP. So what's mitochondria and what's ATP? ATP is adenosine triphosphate. So it's adenosine, tri, and then there's 3 phosphates that hang off, and it's basically like the energy molecule of your body. So if you're going to use energy in any way, adenosine triphosphate, ATP, right, you have 3 things. When one of them breaks off, that breaking off of the phosphate releases energy. And that's energy that's used to do movement, whatever the case may be. So then you're left with a DP, adenosine diphosphate, adenosine and 2 phosphates. I'm so fat and out of breath. I need these things. So when you have ATP, breaks off, gives energy, you're left with ADP. As a side note, this is where creatine comes into play. Creatine, when you're loaded up in your system, it has a lot of floating creatine phosphate in your body. So what that does is when you have ADP, a creatine phosphate will come attached, turn it back into ATP, be ready to be used for energy again. Pretty cool. What mitochondria does, it's the powerhouse of the cell, all that stuff, is that it makes ATP by putting fatty acids through it. It does a bunch of other things, but that's the main thing. That's why it's called the powerhouse, because it creates all of the energy that your body uses. So why carnitine is important is the theory is, it's not been fully proven that this works, because some studies show it doesn't, a lot show that it does. A lot of studies show, double blind, they have 2 or 3 groups of people, a control, whatever the case may be. Usually the people taking a carnitine supplement will end up with more lean mass, meaning that they're going to have less fat on their body. Basically, the proportion of lean mass goes up, the proportion of fat mass goes down. Some studies don't show that, and usually the studies that don't are people that are already in really good shape and exercise all the time. So if you're pretty lean, this probably isn't going to work for you, but if you're pretty lean, you're probably not looking for fat burning ingredients anyway. If you're fairly obese, overweight, you're going to see more of a benefit. At least that's what I've seen. So carnitine is going to help your mitochondria work better, basically. How do you take it? So there's a lot of dosages, like you could find pills of it, and there's much different types of carnitine tartrate, acetyl L-carnitine, that's more for your brain, but just straight up L-carnitine, you would want to take about 2 grams a day. A lot of supplements a lot of like the liquid carnitines are 1,500 milligrams. That's kind of where you see a lot of them at. And I looked it up to see, like, could you do 1,500 and then could you supplement, or not supplement, could you get the rest into your food? You usually get carnitine through meat. And I looked it up, 4 ounces of steak has roughly 50 to 100 milligrams of L-carnitine. So you definitely could get that remaining 500, right? Because let's say you're getting 100 milligrams at 4. Are you going to eat 20 ounces of meat a day? I probably would, right? But not everyone is. So, maybe find something that is pills that you could use throughout the day. I like the liquid stuff because it actually usually contains other ingredients in it. But even at 1,500 milligrams a day, you're going to see a benefit. If you could get a 2,000 milligram one, cool. That's probably the better way to do it. That's what a lot of the studies show. But 1,500 milligrams, it's not like you're not going to see anything. Raise. All right. Next is Grains of Paradise. And what this is a spice. And there's like a trademark version of it. There's probably a lot of trademark versions. But one that you'll see a lot is Paradoxin. Let me see if this is anything. So you'll see it as Paradoxin, which is the trademark ingredient, but it's Grains of Paradise. What it is something that standardizes down to like a 6-Paradol or something like that. It standardizes down to an ingredient that does fat-burning effects. And how it works is it takes your white adipose tissue and turns it into brown adipose tissue. So it takes your white cells, takes your white fat cells and turns it into your brown fat cells. Brown fat cells are activated and they become very thermogenic when you're cold. They heat up, right? So when your body's producing more heat, you're burning more energy. So that's where this really comes into play. It's going to take your fat white cells, which basically are just storage cells. There's a lot of like hormone stuff that goes on, but for what we're thinking of, white fat cells are just for storage of extra calories. That's why it's fat, it's just extra calories to be used. And it turns those into brown, which become very thermogenic. So the way that you probably should want to use this, you could use it anyway, but because it's where brown fat cells are activated when it's cold, if you're going to work out in the morning, go on a jog out in the morning when it's cooler out, this is probably when it's going to be the most beneficial. Otherwise, you're still going to see benefit from it, but I think it becomes more active and more useful when it is actually colder outside. And then how much? There's not like a real firm thing, but the studies showed that like for women, they did 30 milligrams and saw really good benefits, and men was 40. And if you look up the studies on this stuff, there are really, really cool, it's super effective. Like the amount of fat mass that's lost at the end of these studies is pretty substantial. I don't remember what it was. I should have written it down, but look it up. Type in Grains of Paradise study, look on PubMed, find some stuff there. And then for carnitine, by the way, there's a ton of products that are straight up carnitine, so I'm not going to list all of them because there's a ton of brands. But for Grains of Paradise, Unbound is a brand. It's like NutriBio. They have a Grains of Paradise supplement, and then so does SNS. They have Paradoxin. So either one of those would be really good to use. Okay, so the third ingredient is GBB. So you'll see it as lean GBB, pro GBB. What it is gamma butyrobutane. And basically what this is, it's a pro L-carnitine molecule. So how it works is your body's going to have has like a set, I don't know how to say this. If your GBB level is high, it converts over to L-carnitine. So if you have a lot of GBB, your carnitine will go up. If you have a lot of carnitine supplementation, but that's what it is. It wants to stay in a balance. But this balance has to be high to bring this up. Your GBB has to be high to bring up your carnitine. If you just pump a lot of carnitine, it'll work temporarily, but it's going to get broken down to meet your GBB levels. So you can pump a lot of carnitine, it'll be used, but it'll get broken down so that these are equal. If you pump this up, it'll make the carnitine will go up to equal it. So it's not like a perfect match. Like this goes up, this follows, this goes up, it comes back down. It's called like a feedback loop. So basically what it is it's going to kind of be like a super carnitine, right? So if you take this in effect with L-Carnitine, I think it's be really beneficial, but this in and of itself is a really strong ingredient because it's like carnitine, it makes carnitine, but it also has a thermogenic effect. So of all of the fat oxidation things, I'm not sure if that's the right term for it in the carnitine sense, but for the fact that it brings fat through, turns it into ATP, that's what carnitine does. But on top of that, you're going to increase your body temperature. That's going to burn more calories in general, which is going to, release your fat stores and bring it all through. It's just kind of like a cycle. Your body temperature goes up, you want to burn fat, the fat gets released, goes through your mitochondria, creates ATP for energy. All of these ingredients you want to use before a workout. If you're just taking this stuff and you're not doing anything, it's probably not going to do anything. So how you should do it, I did the math. The studies show a safety dosage of 40 to 75 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So if you are, I did it like every 25 pounds. I'll probably throw it up on the video. If you're 100 pounds, you're 45 kilograms. Low dose, 1.8 grams. High dose, 3.3 grams. If you're 150 pounds, low dose, 2.7 grams. High dose, 5.1 grams. If you're 225 pounds, low dose, 4 grams. High dose, 7.5 grams. I did I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. I'll throw it up there. We're not going to do it all janky like that. So, like I said, you really want to be doing this stuff before you work out. Because one, that's when it's going to be most effective. And two, that's when you're going to get the most money out of it. If you're spending your money on this stuff, don't you want it to be more effective? Why would you buy something and then do it in a way that isn't going to get the most out of it? You're just kind of wasting money. Everything's expensive now. Gas is $6 a gallon. You know what I'm saying? Why would you waste money when you don't have to? Get the most out of your stuff. Anyway, with the GBB, a study showed serum levels of carnitine to almost double after 20 days of daily use. Although, increased levels of carnitine was seen after only a few days, thermogenic effects on the first dose. So it doesn't matter how you use it. If you just want to use it as a one-off, you're going to do cardio 3 times a week. Cool, use it before that. You're going to get the thermogenic effect, a little bit of a boost of carnitine. If you use it every single day for 20 days, studies have shown you're going to almost double your carnitine levels, which is just going to make your body super efficient in pulling those long-chain fatty acids in. And a product of this that's a standalone is Unbound, again, GBB. So they're kind of on top of it with all this stuff. And then I'm going to go over actually I had another idea for a different thing too. I'm going to go over some products that have all this stuff in there. So Top Secret Nutrition Fireball, it's got 1,600 milligrams of carnitine of 2 different types, 25 milligrams of GBB, and then 15 milligrams of paradoxin. You could do Unbound Unlock, right? They have there's pills and powder. That's their fat burner. It's got a ton of stuff. Apollon Shogun, if you want to do a pill. So the first thing is a liquid. Second thing is a powder or pill. This third one's a pill, Shogun. It's got a ton of ingredients. It's got a lot of stimulants, which I'll talk about in a sec. It has 35 milligrams of GBB, 200 milligrams of paradoxin, so a really high dose. Okay. So those are 3 different things you could do that are blends of multiple ones of these ingredients. And then the last thing was stimulants in general. So stimulants are going to be in a ton of fat burners. Stimulants in and of themselves aren't really going to increase your caloric expenditure like a drastic amount. How these things work more so to be more beneficial and how you should use them would be to use them as appetite suppressants. So if you can't really control your eating, if you've been overweight for a long time, you've never really dieted, and it just seems kind of like unfathomable, using something with a little bit of caffeine to curb your appetite or a stronger stimulant like DMHA can go a long way. But you have to keep in mind that when you are done, you want to make sure when you're not using them, you don't rebound, which is actually really hard. So if you're taking stimulants, like if anyone takes Adderall, when you're hopped up on Adderall, you don't want to eat it all. You have no appetite. These things are going to be lower levels of that, but the same idea. You're not going to have an appetite, or it's going to be really suppressed. You really kind of want to try to use that while you can so that you're just eating what you're supposed to be eating. You don't want to eat nothing because then you're really going to rebound. You just want to stay in your caloric range for the day. And if it's really hard not to binge, maybe try a fat burner with some DMHA, to just curb your appetite a little bit. If you have a heart condition, don't do a bunch of stimulants. But if you're trying to lose weight and you just keep binge eating, it's something that you could try. But also, what a lot of people do is they'll take a full bottle of fat burners over however many days, they run out, and then their appetite comes back like crazy. So you really have to be mentally prepared for that and try to combat it. So yeah, carnitine, GBB, grains of paradise. I've seen, the reason I put those in there is because I noticed, because I see all the products that come in, pretty much every fat burner that's come in or every fat burning product has had these things in there. And I looked into them all, and they all actually are pretty legit. It seems like we're kind of getting away from just 500 milligrams of caffeine and him being in pills, which actually is a pretty good ingredient. But we're getting away from like the basic stuff and kind of getting into more science-backed ingredients, which is really good. So if you guys have any questions, or you think there should be more stuff on this list, leave a comment below. I will take a look and see if we could do more videos about this. But since it's summer, I want to get you guys some ingredients and some products that you could try out that I recommend to people, that people give me good feedback on, and I think might be beneficial. So I hope you guys liked it. Thanks.